Physics Tax Review numbers 5 and 6. Number 5 says, as a rocket rises, its kinetic energy changes. At the time the rocket reaches its highest point, most of the kinetic energy of the rocket has been permanently destroyed, transformed into potential energy, converted to friction, or stored in bonds between its atoms. Kinetic energy means the energy of motion. So in this case, we're talking about our rocket. And so if we take our rocket and we shoot it upward, okay, eventually it's going to stop going upward. So once it reaches its highest point, before it falls back to the ground, it is going to go through, right, the kinetic energy of motion going upward. It's going to slow down, and for just a split moment it's going to stop up here before it comes back down. So when it reaches its highest point, the kinetic energy says it changes. That kinetic energy is not destroyed. Energy is not destroyed. It can be changed from one form to another, but energy is not destroyed. It just changes from one form into another. So if ever you see that answer choice, get rid of it. Energy is not destroyed. It is changed. It is transformed. Okay, so here's a transformed into potential energy. Potential energy is the ability to move again. So it is stored energy that will give something the ability to move later. So in this case, we have, if it's up here at the top, it would have the potential to move again because gravity is going to pull it back down. So this looks good to me. It will have the potential energy, the potential to fall back to the ground. H converted to friction. Friction is when two surfaces rub against each other, and pardon me, and the friction is the force that's actually slowing down that motion because one material is moving against another, and that's not what we're talking about here. So that doesn't look good to me. And then J, stored in bonds between its atoms. I don't think that the energy is being stored in the atoms of the rocket. Do you? I don't, because that's not the case here. So what happens is that kinetic energy is just being transformed into potential energy, the ability to move again. So then number 6, let's look at it, says a motor produces less mechanical energy than the energy it uses because the motor, so before I even look at these, it says it produces less mechanical energy than the energy it uses. In other words, for example, let me give you like your car motor. You get less moving energy out of it than the energy you put into it, than the gasoline that you put into it, because the motor is going to do something with some of that energy. And it says it gains some energy through motion. Well, if it gained energy, we would get more energy out of it, so that can't be it. Stores some energy as electrons. I don't think so. If you had a lot of built-up electrons on your car, that would build up static electricity. You get zapped all the time by your car. H, converts some energy into heat and sound. Well, I know you've heard the motor of a car before, and it does get loud, so it does create sound. And if you've ever felt the hood of a car after it's been running, there is a lot of heat that's created there, so this looks pretty good. And then J, uses some energy to increase in mass. I hope your motor doesn't get heavier when you use it. It doesn't increase in mass when you use it, because that's not possible. So that's not going to be our correct answer. So it is H. Remember that energy can be transformed from one form into another, and just because we're putting energy into that motor doesn't mean that all of it will be used to actually go through those motions. We lose a lot of energy to heat and sound.